So, my current niche, if you will, is that I work with women who identify as being light workers or healers, or they just tend to be those people who are more sensitive or they're visionaries and they have really big ideas. And so, in my mind, these types of people with big ideas, big impact, deserve to take up really big space online, right? And yet, I was talking actually just this morning with someone who has been a seven-figure entrepreneur in the past and is still struggling with how do I want to be showing up online. And until we were able to like hit a aha like light bulb moment for her this morning, that she wasn't showing up authentically.
Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Christy Yoder, host of the Master Delegator Podcast. The Master Delegator Podcast is for busy and overwhelmed entrepreneurs who want to learn how to become effective in the area of delegation and learn how to hire great virtual assistants to help them scale their business and have more time and freedom. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing and don't forget to click the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video. All right, let's get started. Hi, welcome to the Master Delegator Podcast. Today I am joined with Chelsea Fournier. She is a former lawyer turned business coach, online marketer, course creator, and author. She is passionate about helping light workers, empaths, healers, and sensitive souls find their voice and path forward in designing an online business for purpose and profit. She is the creator of the Aligned Decision Making Framework and host of your Routine Queen podcast. She lives in a cute beach town in North Carolina with her husband and toddler son. And today we are going to talk about content batching to help manage your time effectively. All right. Well, hey, Chelsea, before we dive into our topic for today, would you mind telling us a bit more about yourself? Because I know that you were a lawyer and now you have your own business. So tell me about your entrepreneurial journey.
I sure will. Thank you for having me here, Christy. I'm so excited to share my story. And yeah, if I give like the Chelsea in a nutshell, I started my professional career, and I don't know if any of your listeners can relate to this. I kind of started my professional career based on what I thought I should be doing, and based on what like my strengths made it seem like I should do, based on professions that are out there that people know, right? And so I graduated from college with a psychology degree, knowing I didn't want to be a psychologist or a therapist. And so then what do you do with that? And I had worked at law firms all throughout. I kind of paid my way through college, working at law firms part time, and it was an office setting I was really comfortable with. And so I went to law school. And I'm a good student. I have a photographic memory. I can memorize things. And so I
Wow.
was really good at being a student of the law. And then I was so it was beautiful how it unfolded that I got an amazing offer to work at a larger law firm. I was living in Maine at the time. And I have nothing bad to say about the experience. I can't look back and say, like, oh my gosh, someone was so mean to me, or it was like a horrible fit, right? But so much happened over the next 5 years of my career that helped me to realize, like, that wasn't my calling. And I could be really good at it, and there was so many of my clients. I did trademark law and copyright law. I worked with really cool entrepreneurs. Like, I had a fun niche. If you're going to be a lawyer, like, you might as well choose something fun that people like paying you for.
Yeah.
But I started to actually have very physical and mental health issues related to feeling so disconnected from what my purpose is. Because I was good, I was doing it, I was kind of grinding out the hours, living that lifestyle, buying suits, like kind of stepping into that professional hat, if you will.
Right.
But I was so disconnected from my intuition, from like what I'm truly put on this earth to do. And I truly believe if you feel out of alignment over time for too long, it can really manifest in your health or in, feeling a little bit cuckoo. Like, I used
Right.
to tell myself, like, I'm good at this. Why am I crazy? Why do I want to do something else? And so over the past 9 years, have had different versions of being a social media coach, a business coach, an entrepreneur coach. Like I've kind of been navigating, stepping out of the law, stepping into the coaching space, and finding my footing. Took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but it's been such a rewarding journey over the time to like have the life lessons and be able to relate to my clients even more, I think.
Yeah. Well, I love that you are valuing your purpose here on earth,
Yeah.
because I believe that life is short. We
Yeah.
don't know when we're gonna die. Death is not even about how old you are. There's a
Right.
lot of young people out there who
That are
die
walking
so
around.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I love that you are valuing, that part of your life. So tell me about how you transitioned from being a lawyer to becoming
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. Like, did you just um all of a sudden, like, dropped everything you did, you said no to
Yeah.
your your law clients or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you call them, and then started with your entrepreneurial journey? Like, how did you do it?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is I was a lawyer specifically for entrepreneurs. And
Okay.
so I went to coaching school in part because I thought I might want to do coaching eventually, but in part because I just wanted to be a better counselor to my clients. And so I wanted to be able to like add more value than just here's the letter of the law. I wanted to be able to coach them, help them through like tricky situations, right?
Right.
And so as I got certified and trained as a coach and then started taking like practice clients and finishing that program, I started to realize how much I love coaching. And so at the time I was transitioning into working a little bit more flexibly in a law firm that my now ex-husband and I actually owned together. And so I had a little bit more flexibility and I could run my own hours. And then
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend this, Christy, but I basically came to a breakdown point of being like, wow, so many things in my life were feeling out of alignment that I actually went through a divorce. I went through stepping out of that
Wow.
career. I went through like really reshaping a lot of things, kind of getting to the core of like, what was I saying yes to just because it felt like the next thing I should be doing versus what do I actually, who am I? What do I want to be? What do I want to be when I grow up? And so,
Wow.
I don't recommend changing everything at once.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
but
for me,
you got through
it
it,
really was. I did. I
looking
did.
at you right now. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have guessed that you went through all of those things, because you
Yeah.
just look so lively right now.
Oh, you're so kind. It's been a journey because part of that for me was coming to terms with the health that I had to start putting my health first. And something like I'm always an open book about mental health and anxiety because I believe we like closet it too much and it
Yeah,
feels very
yeah.
isolating. And so part of what was happening for me in this period of my life was that I was suffering from deep anxiety and panic attacks. And it was becoming
Wow.
like normal. I'm putting air quotes for those of you just listening to the podcast. It was
Mm,
normal for me to like leave my office, go into my car, clickety clack in my heels in the parking garage, go to my car, break down, have like a full on panic attack, sobbing, and then have to gather myself, put some lipstick on, and go back into the office.
oh my,
And if
that is so
anybody's ever
sad.
been in that position, like it just feels like it's never going to change.
Yeah,
And
you feel
so,
like you're trapped in that
yeah.
situation and you cannot get out of that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
especially if anybody's listening to this and is like in a similar situation, just to know that like it was just micro steps. It was me like starting to, buy back my mental health and sanity, saying no, learning how to set boundaries, exploring different healing modalities, getting on different supplements. Like it was just little micro steps to where as I felt more stable and healthy and strong, then I was able to set like bigger steps, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
that's really good. And so all of those things happen to you. I mean,
Hmm.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Um, just because you felt unfulfilled with what you're doing. You
Yeah.
felt like
Yep.
you're not living out your calling.
Yeah. It was like a quarter life crisis or something, looking back on
Wow.
how long ago it was,
Yeah.
right? And then I started to lean into like, what do I love doing? And it's so funny. My very first program, if you will, is I got really inspired. It was late December, 6 years ago. I got really inspired and was like, you know what? There's so many people who set New Year's resolutions and they never follow through on it. And so I just felt inspired. I created this Facebook group. It was free. And I put together, I said, hey, anybody who wants to make sure you're going to follow through on your resolutions, I'm going to call it the resolution reboot. And I put
Mhm.
together basically kind of, I look back and laugh. I put together a 90-day small group coaching program for free,
Wow.
basically. Just because I was like building that muscle of like, do I trust this? Am I good at this? Could I turn this into something? And, I laugh because looking at where I'm at now, like, I poured my heart and soul and time into this free little program that I put
Oh,
together. And
wow.
it was so validating for me. And then at the end of it, I got some testimonials that were so powerful. And I still reflect back on them sometimes because over the years, as I've like shifted who I was speaking to or what transformation I was supporting, to me, it just always comes back to the testimonials of if my life and my gifts and things that come easily to me, if I can package that or support someone in experiencing that and their life is better because of it in a
Mhm.
very real way, that feels like so much more in alignment for me.
I love that. I love when you said that that experience was like validating to you. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm the type of person who believes that, I mean, I don't know, we may have a different view, who believes that, if you know your worth, you don't really need someone to tell you, your worth, because you know
Yeah.
your worth, it's not dependent on the external factor.
Sure.
You should know your worth already, but still having people, say stuff to you, say good things to you, encourage you, validating who
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are and reaffirming what you believe about yourself, you feel good in that. And I
Absolutely.
think
I
we
think
need
we
a
all
lot of
need
that in
that
the
in
world.
different
Yeah.
phases.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I work with someone, if I've had a good experience, I like proactively share a testimonial because A, it shows that what they're doing really matters, and B, I want them to share it out to the world to help bring their gifts out to other people if it is that like social proof.
That's true. And especially when you're just starting out as an entrepreneur, it's so important that you get feedback from other people, because sometimes
Yeah,
we are so used to what we're doing and we don't know if what we're doing is valuable to other people.
absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
for me, like I talk about delegation a lot of
All the
times,
time.
and
Yeah.
it's like it's a lifestyle to me already, and I'm so used to it. Sometimes I think about the people that listening to my podcast, so I'm like, are they getting value from me, because I
Yeah.
talk about delegation so much, because it's I'm used to it already. But when
Yeah.
I ask
Yeah.
people, they're like, yes, it's so good. Like, I never thought that I
Yeah.
can delegate like this, blah blah blah. But if you ask me, I'm like, no, it's just okay, because I'm used to it. I do it every
Right.
day, right? So
Right.
it's really important that we get feedback from other people to kind of
Absolutely.
give us an encouragement to keep on keeping on, because it's hard to do something without people surrounding you and giving you support.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And over the years, as many entrepreneurs do, I have pivoted. I explored for a while, I was doing social media consulting for women who were in direct sales or network marketing because I have a passion for that profession. And then I was doing, business coaching for entrepreneurs who were more in my community. And so I've morphed and for me, as long as I was growing and finding satisfaction and getting some feedback, it was just part of the journey. And it's
Yeah.
really only been like, I would say, the past 6 months. So I've been completely self employed for almost a decade. And it's in the past 6 months that I've really hit my stride and gotten clear on how my gifts truly match up with an ideal audience. And now so many things are opening up. And so if someone is
Mhm.
listening to this and feeling like, I should have it all figured out already, there are some overnight success stories. I'm not that. And that's
Yeah.
okay with me because part of my purpose on this earth is like having this journey and being able to turn around to other people who I work with and say, like, it's okay if you're not that overnight success story. If you are
Yes.
feeling like you're on the right path, keep going.
Yeah. And to be honest, like I don't even want to be, even if it's available out there, I don't want to be an
Yeah.
overnight success,
Right.
person, because
Yeah.
I don't want to skip or miss all the lessons that I'm going to be learning along the way,
Yeah.
because failing is a good way to teach you a lesson. So if you don't
Yeah.
fail, you won't even grow. And so I like what you said about, when you start being, when you decide to become an entrepreneur and you think that social media coaching is good for you, when
Yeah.
when you've done it maybe for a month or two and you feel like, no, this is not for me, it's okay to move on to a different thing and try
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Try and try until you find the perfect fit for you.
Are you sick and tired of being overwhelmed and afraid you'll never scale your business? Meet Smart VAs. Unlike many virtual assistant agencies that only assign one dedicated virtual assistant, we provide flexibility for growing businesses by assigning a team of experienced virtual assistants that can do different tasks to support your continuous growth. Visit smartvas.online to book a free discovery call and start growing your business.
let's talk about content batching. So, what is content batching? Why is it important? And how
Yeah.
exactly should it be done? So, I have
Yes.
like
This is
three
okay.
questions
I'll
all
try
at
to
the
hit
same
them.
time. I'm going to remind you of my questions. So, if
Okay.
ever you forget about it.
So I'll share just a little bit of a story of why this is so important. So my current niche, if you will, is that I work with women who identify as being light workers or healers, or they just tend to be those people who are more sensitive or they're visionaries and they have really big ideas. And so in my mind, these types of people with big ideas, big impact, deserve to take up really big space online, right? And yet, I was talking actually just this morning with someone who has been a seven-figure entrepreneur in the past and is still struggling with how do I want to be showing up online. And until we were able to like hit an aha, like light bulb moment for her this morning, that she wasn't showing up authentically. And she was feeling like she just had to post because she had to post a certain amount of times a day. And it was that like missing of integrity or emotion. And so because she is this really sensitive soul, she was like, I resist it. I think she even used the H word. She hates social media, even though she meets so many amazing people through it. And so, especially a lot of the content creation and support that I work with and teach people is for those individuals who have that love-hate relationship around social media to be like, I know I can meet amazing people, but I don't like the screen time. I don't like having to feel pressure to post a certain amount of times a week, or I don't understand it. There's a lot of people who still feel overwhelmed by technology. And so when I think about content creation or content batching, it actually simplifies it because I used to, and I don't know if you've ever been in this position when you were first starting out, it used to take me like an hour to make a post. And it would be like, I've got to go take a perfect selfie. I've got to go, write the caption. What's my call to action? I second guessed everything. And so the idea of like, I'm supposed to post every day. I don't know if I can even do that. What consistency am I going to be able to establish? But as I've gotten clearer about the signature transformation that I support and the people that I want to speak to and the ideas that I want to really stand for and be known for, then it allows me to think about content creation in like chunks, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I teach really looking at one social media platform first. Like, I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of people out there who teach like you got to be on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and everything every day. And if that works for you, go for it. And if it's not working for you and it's paralyzing you, just know that you don't have to do that every day, right? And
Right.
so I think until you can really be cultivating the right quality of leads and converting them to do something with you, free or paid, like if you're not getting yeses from people that you really think are potentially ideal clients on one platform,
Mm-hmm.
spreading yourself thin isn't going to magically make them convert on another platform. Like
No.
it's too much, right?
You need to know where your audience is as well.
Yes, yes. And so really then looking at the platform, the formats of the posts, like if you're creating content for Instagram, are you going to do reels? Do you like carousels? What resonates with your audience? Do you like to do live videos? Do you not? Versus if you're going all in on TikTok, like there's just formats, there's cultures, there's different things that matter to different platforms. And so what it really breaks down to for me, I'm such a logistics, like left-brained person to my
Right.
core.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, okay, I personally do one social media platform and one evergreen platform. So Instagram is my primary platform, and then I have a podcast. And
Mm-hmm.
so managing those two, now I'm in a rhythm several months into kind of relaunching a lot of my branding. And now I'm in a rhythm where I can be like, okay, I'm posting consistently enough that now I can maybe repurpose. Okay, I'm going to take this post over to LinkedIn, or I'm going to take this post over to Facebook. But what it really, so many people struggle with, it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be maybe you're shooting to post 5 days a week, or maybe you're shooting to post 3 days a week. I was just working with a client who said, I think she's going from 0 posts a week. So like just getting consistent is huge. And she said, I think I can do 3 posts a week. And so then, okay, how are we going to make it even simpler for your brain to not resist this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how about every Monday, it's an image post with a caption? How
Mm-hmm.
about every Wednesday is a reel? How about every Friday is a testimonial? Like, if you can actually start to break this down so that you're just looking at a matrix of like, oh, I could sit down and make 4 quote images for the month, and then all of my Tuesday quote images are created. Like the more micro decisions you can make about the platform, the formats, a theme for a day. Like I'm going to tell you, nobody notices. Like nobody's
Yeah.
going to call you out and be like, every Monday you post a motivational quote, and that just seems too contrived. Like if
Mm,
you can, all these little micro decisions, micro habits allow you to then see, oh, you might actually be able to expand and create more. About 6 months ago, when I launched my brand new Instagram feed, my goal was to do 4 posts a week. And now it's, not even 6 months later, and I'm at a place where I'm doing one feed post and one reel every single day. It's taking me less time than it was because I've been developing systems and a Trello board, and now I have a
right.
graphic designer helping me. I did some outsourcing and
Mm-hmm.
delegating. And it's an experiment for me. Am I going to post 2 times a day forever? I don't know, but it's my current content strategy. And so I'm giving it enough breath and enough life to see if it brings in really fun people for me to work with. And so I think, just kind of boiled a lot of that into some of your questions. I think content creation and content batching is getting yourself ahead so that you're not day of saying, I've got to be creative right now. Like that's the pressure. If you don't have content creation, the two big buzzkills are that you can't delegate, because if you haven't thought more than today, you can't expect somebody else to be stressed out just because you don't have a system, right?
Right, exactly.
And you also put this pressure on being creative every single day or every
Mm-hmm.
day that you plan to post. And that really can, I know that there's some entrepreneurs, especially in kind of my spiritual entrepreneur space, where they're like, but I've just got to like channel what's coming in today and share what's relevant today. But what I really am working on is if something is really meaningful for your soul client today, it's going to be meaningful 2 weeks from now when it
Yeah.
comes out. Like, trust the process, allow some space so that your life can feel good and not like you're addicted to your screen or pressuring yourself to write the most beautiful caption, even though your dog just threw up. Like, you can't
Mm-hmm.
control your day, right? And
Yeah.
so, finding routines. Like, I believe that everything you do in running an online business can be broken down into a routine or a ritual to say, like, okay, every Thursday, maybe you sit down for an hour and map out even one week ahead. You could, set a goal of content batching 3 days ahead or a week ahead or 2 weeks ahead, and just setting little like micro milestones and then putting it into your calendar. And maybe you find, oh gosh, an hour is not enough, or maybe you're even faster than you thought. And that allows you to start playing around with, what is my system? Oh, could I get to a place where I could be far enough ahead to delegate and bring a team member in to support making the graphics or the copy or scheduling it? And that's really where I come from. Content batching is just getting ahead on some of these micro decisions so that then there's a system that doesn't depend on you being in this like beautiful, energetic, creative space every day, because it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, that's no, no. At least for me, it doesn't happen every day. So I love that you said that content batching is about getting yourself ahead. I so
Yeah.
love that. It's like you're already predicting what's gonna come out of your social media feed, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the following week, Tuesday, you know that an Instagram quote or a quote, is gonna come out of your
Yeah.
Instagram feed.
Yeah.
So it's like predicting what you want your feed
Yeah.
to look like and what kind of value you're gonna
Yeah.
put out there. And so um content batching doesn't also just mean, like, yet yes, you are organizing
Hmm.
your social media posts in a month or a week or two, or however
Yeah.
you decide to do your content, but it doesn't mean that you won't be able to be, fun and spontaneous. Like for example,
Yeah.
if you have done your social media post for the month of March already, and today you're feeling very creative and you thought of something,
Yeah.
you still have that freedom to go ahead and take a
Right. Do a
selfie, and then
live or
yeah,
totally.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
create your caption and then post it on Instagram or Facebook, whatever. So it doesn't mean that you're like, very
You're not
limited what
limited.
you have
Yeah.
already done. It just means, you already have a backup plan just
Yeah.
in case your day today or tomorrow won't go exactly the way how you want it
Exactly.
to go. Yeah. So
Well, and
I
I think one
really
of the number one struggles I hear is I can't stay consistent. Right? How do you stay consistent? And to me, I believe that you can't make something more efficient, like a system like this that we're talking about, until you're consistent, and you can't become consistent until you're clear. And
Right.
so if you're struggling with some of this or the concepts that Christy shares on this podcast, which are amazing, if it's
Thank you.
coming down to like, maybe I'm not clear. Maybe you're not clear on who your audience is. Maybe you're not clear on how your gifts come through into a coaching package or how your knowledge comes through into a course. And it's okay, but it might be instead of focusing on going viral, like, I see so many people who they're doing like a reel every day or this big challenge or big visibility. And when I go to their bio and I'm like, I'm not sure what you want me to do. Even if I do love your viral reel, then I come here and I'm like, what do you want me to do? How are you going to
Yeah.
monetize this? What if I love what you're sharing? What can I do? And so that clarity can really help, whether it's, brushing up your Instagram bio, figuring out if your niche is clear. Is there a link that's a call to action? Sometimes little things like that, if they're left completely unclear to you, that's almost like an energetic block for us to be more consistent, to get more eyeballs on it. And so many times I'll work with a client and be like, okay, well, it's not really clear to me what you're trying to convey. And they're like, dude, me neither.
Yeah. It's like, okay, okay, you're telling me to do this, but what's next? Right?
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
your instruction should be complete. Like it always has to
Yeah.
have, the ending part of
Yeah.
what you want the people to do. So you mentioned earlier that you've outsourced or you've delegated
Mhm.
to other people. What do you think is the best way to delegate effectively?
Yeah, so growing up, I guess growing up professionally as a lawyer, I was told, and I know that one of your recent episodes was about this, I was told to never delegate something that you didn't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have struggled with that as an entrepreneur to some degree because there's some things I just don't want to know how to do. Chrissy, like I don't want to know how to set up the tagging and the name functions in my CRM. And so there has been a dance of me working on things that I know I can do and creating systems so that then I can delegate. So, for example, I have someone who helps me with my graphic design for my Instagram feed, and she does really beautiful graphics for my website and my funnels. And I have a copywriter. So something I've recently decided to delegate, and it's a stretch for me because I love writing, and I would say it's one of my gifts. Like I think
Good
I'm a
for
pretty
you.
good communicator, but it takes a long time. And I'm a toddler mom and I run my business part-time and I have big visions of scaling. And so I just recently started working with someone who has a whole method of like matching your voice, because I was nervous of like, well, is my audience just going to all of a sudden be like, what? This isn't Chelsea. What does she sound like? And so some of it's like finding the right person, having a
Yeah.
good conversation. And then I have recently just delegated some stuff that I don't know how to do and decided I don't want to know how to do. I want to know enough to make sure that someone is doing it well,
Right.
but not enough to be like in the weeds on setting up some tech stuff. So I've had kind of those two categories in my mind of things that I can do, but are not the best use of my time. They're not my zone of genius, and making sure that they do feel like a profitable, part of my business. Like I am finding that about 90% of my good quality leads come from Instagram. So paying someone to help me make that feed look good, that feels like a good use of my money right now.
Mm-hmm.
If I was finding that nobody was coming from it, then it might not, right? So I think sometimes there's this give and take of almost delegating before you feel like you're ready. If it's
Yeah.
something that you truly believe is a part of your revenue generating funnel. And for me, I'm just starting to grow into like realizing there's some things that I don't want to learn and finding expertise right off. So those are kind of the two categories I dance in. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, it does.
looking at, there's so many people who are just beautifully expert at certain things in relation to running an online business, and you don't have to be everything. And
And you shouldn't.
you shouldn't. In fact, part
Yeah.
of what I do for my own pricing, in case this is helpful for any listeners, is when I price a program or I price a coaching package, in my mind, I'm allocating 10% to go to support. And so I've found that to be a good, healthy number that I'm not like overstretching. And if I kind of just think about baking it in, like, oh, okay, if this is going to be a $300 coaching session, well, 10%. that would be maybe, 1 to 1.5 hours of someone's time to help me. That's about how much time I might need to help someone get into the automation or
Right.
receive a contract. And then if it's a longer program, like let's just say maybe it's a $3,000 program. Okay, well, $300 worth of support. Yeah, I might need some more higher level expertise around setting up the checkouts or the onboarding automations or designing a welcome packet. And so if there's someone who's like early enough in their business that you're still really creating those packages or creating that pricing structure, I encourage, I don't know if you have a number in your mind, but 10% has been a good benchmark for me to then not be scrambling to say, oh, shoot, I forgot that I need to be able to afford someone to help me do this.
Yeah, that's a good percentage actually. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have a specific number, but my practice is to at least have 40 to 50% when
Yeah.
you're running an agency. You know, right? You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? You need to have
Yeah.
like at least 40 to 50% profit margin because
Yeah.
you need to pay, bills, software, tools.
Yeah.
But if we're
Yeah.
talking about per project, then I think 10% is good enough. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a pretty good budget for me just to at least, I think so many times, especially if you're newer and
Yeah.
thinking about your first hire of like, what's the most important thing? Like, you might make a mistake. You might hire someone and realize you weren't ready to step into leadership. Like, it really does take leadership. I think so many coaches will be like, I'm
Mm.
going to hire a virtual assistant to fix my things or to like make this go better. And it's like, well, you're the leader. You at least need to have a vision or a
Oh
system.
my
Like,
gosh,
you
you
can't
just don't
outsource.
know, Chelsea.
I bet you see this a lot, don't you?
You just don't know. They're like, hey, I want to do this. And then, hey, this is my business. Let it run.
Right?
After
Like
a
if
month,
it,
they're like, why is my business not running? Like, you're
if it was
you're
that
the business
easy.
owner. This is your baby. You're the one who needs to feed it, right?
Right. Yeah. I think
So
there is that, some people can fear that, I think, whether it's a limiting belief or feeling like you can't step into a leadership role. But there is, for me, it's really important to me that my team is never stressed out because I'm being a bad delegator. Like, am I providing everything that they need in advance? I personally use Trello boards. I
mhm.
have a Trello board for each of my team members, and I provide them with everything that they'll need, whether it's logos or images and copy and Google Drive folders. And I think about that almost as important as the support that I offer to my clients because I want my team members to be able to shine in their zone of genius and to be like, oh, Chelsea provided everything that I need to get going. Great, I've got some time right now. Instead of like, we've all had clients, no matter what you do, whether you're a coach or your virtual assistant, we've all had clients that you just like dread. You're like, oh, I know they're going to want another project and it's going to be a hassle. And I never want to be that
Yeah,
client for my team members.
that's
So,
true. Yeah.
am I perfect? No, but I'm always open to feedback. I always try to have like an open door policy kind of thing of like, hey, you're really good at this. If you see a better way that I could be delegating or that I could be communicating with you, like I'm all ears because I want people who feel like they have a voice at the table, but that I'm the leader that they can trust and that there's like a vision that we're all moving towards.
I love that. I love that. Well, this has been great, Chelsea, but I have to ask you,
Yeah,
to let my listeners know where they can find you
yeah.
online.
Absolutely. So, I told you I'm most active on Instagram and podcast. So on Instagram, I go under the handle Your Routine Queen, and my podcast is Your Routine Queen Podcast. And I am always, as I said, at least my current strategy is being active on Instagram twice a day. So you can come watch how that strategy is working. But I specifically show up and create content for light workers, sensitive souls, visionaries who want to take up more space online, but without losing themselves in the process. So Instagram and my podcast would be great ways to come hang out and learn more.
I love your podcast. I have not listened to any of your episodes, but just by,
Yeah.
the title of it, I feel like it's something relevant to what I'm doing. So I'm gonna really,
Yeah. I love
after
that.
maybe this evening, I'm gonna go ahead and listen to your recent episode. You
Oh,
know,
that's awesome.
if you need help with anything, coaching, social media, anything else, if you have any
Yeah.
questions for Chelsea, go ahead and reach out to her. If you can only see Chelsea's face right now, she's the kind of person that you would trust. Like her face is just so, it lights up. It's very bright, lively. So I feel like you are really very passionate about what you do, and
I sure am. I
Yeah,
sure am. As
and
are you. I appreciate everything you're putting out there and just helping people to see that they can be bigger than just themselves in their business. That's such a
mhm,
powerful movement, even just to show what's possible and give those next steps and clarity and experts that they can trust. So I really value the community you're putting together. I'm honored to be a
you're
part of it.
you're welcome. You're welcome, and thank you. Thank you for the encouragement. Well,
Yeah.
this has been great, Chelsea. Thanks for your time.
Mhm.